Number 66276, Division B, 25th Judicial District Court, Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana, Attorney Rennie S. Burris II, and Jacques Tozet, Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments? Machines open. Reverend Edwards. And the measure passes 9-0. We will go into executive session at 3:29 p.m. We'll return from executive session at 4:15 p.m. No final or binding decision was made in executive session. We'll move to item 3, please.
Proclamations. A proclamation declaring August 24th, 2023 as Sammy and Brenda Himes Day in the Parish of Plaquemine. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered, and I ask for a unanimous second. No objection. We have a unanimous second. Could you read it, please?
A proclamation declaring August 24th, 2023 as Sammy and Brenda Himes Day in the Parish of Plaquemine. The bedrock of our nation lies in dedicated community service, and Sammy and Brenda's tireless efforts stand as a testament to their unwavering dedication to enhancing the lives of Plaquemine's parish residents. Both Sammy and Brenda are lifelong inhabitants of Plaquemine, with Sammy proudly graduating from Burris High School and Brenda from Port Sulphur High. United in matrimony on February 14, 1981, Sammy and Brenda embarked on a journey of shared purpose. Sammy's service with the Plaquemine Parish Sheriff's Office commenced in 1984, marked by his steadfast commitment under the leadership of Sheriffs Ernest Wooten, Jeff Hingle, Lonnie Greco, Mike LaFrance, and Gerald Turlich Jr. In 1985, Sammy started the Burris and Boothville Venice chapter of the Junior Deputies, in addition to starting the Port Sulphur and East Bank chapter in 2015, nurturing a tradition of mentorship and guidance. Their dedication to National Night Out Against Crime flourished, which started with a gathering of hot dogs and Coke in 1988, but has grown to attract over 500 attendees in 2019. Sammy's personal involvement extended to escorting Beta clubs to competitions and supporting parish-wide athletic teams. Sammy was honored to serve as Grand Marshal for the South Plaquemine High School Homecoming Parade and was recognized with the Community Service Award from the First Class Gentleman Organization. In 2014, Sammy and Brenda started a parish-wide Senior Day honor of all graduating seniors, displaying their dedication to the younger generation. In 2015, Brenda partnered with the Second Harvest Food Bank to establish a food pantry catering to the needs of more than 200 individuals monthly. Brenda's commitment led her to service on the Council on Aging and Community Action Agency boards, along with assisting Plaquemine's Medical Center with elderly and school-sponsored activities. Brenda's service led to her election as Justice of the Peace for Plaquemine in 2015. Sammy and Brenda's annual turkey drive has brought joy to many needy families. After Katrina, Sammy and Brenda worked with Southern Mutual to aid those residents who were displaced. Sammy and Brenda roles as loving parents to 2 daughters, 1 bonus daughter, proud grandparents to 7, and 3 sons-in-law, all while embodying their Christian faith. Sammy has become fondly known as the community police. Sammy and Brenda personify the essence of community service driven by genuine love for the community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Plaquemine Parish Council, represented by its duly authorized chairman, Carlton M. LaFrance, and by concurrence of the parish president, Keith Hinckley, representing the Plaquemine Parish government, that it hereby declares August 24th, 2023 as Sammy and Brenda Himes Day in the Parish of Plaquemine.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Mr. Konovich?
Yes, I've been knowing Sammy might be in the early 70s. Sammy and I have been very close friends for a very long time. He's like a brother. I appreciate everything he does for our community.
You're on here.
Okay.
I was even there when he wrestled the bear and beat him. Love you. Thank you for everything y'all do.
Mr. George?
Sammy, yes, I've known you for as long as I can remember. We've known each other. And with Sammy and his wife and our community, they really are stellars of our community. Every morning when I wake up and I look at Facebook and I see, good morning, everyone from Home Place, blessings, everything. Means a lot to see that every day. My children, you know, when they were in school, Sammy took care of them with the DARE program. Everybody knew Big Sam. Sam's always been Big Sam. And anything you've ever asked from him and his wife, Brenda, they've always been there. What you do for the high school seniors with the seafood ball and everything else you've done, you know, with the night out against crime. You've been a stellar of y'all have both been a stellar of our community, and we're so proud to have this happen today. Thank you very much. Thank y'all.
Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to keep my comments short because I don't want Sammy to start crying and Brenda know you give it too much accolade, he's going to start crying all over the place. But I love these two people, and as my fellow council members say, the work that he does for the community. So when I heard in a proclamation the word shared purpose, it's very often you get a couple who have a shared purpose, and that shared purpose is to be serving to not only to Post Sulphur, but to all of Plaquemine. You know, when I became constable, I was thrown the night out against crime on my lap. And I didn't realize what that meant because Sammy set the model. I was like, I'm going to do that. So I said, well, you know, I'm hoping that before I go to heaven, I can create a halfway DARE program. So the last DARE program we had a whole bunch of sheriff calls that I called Sammy. I said, Sammy, I didn't get to where you at, but I sure came close to it. But anyway, and when the DARE program, he know, I remember he first came to DARE program, and I don't have to get it because you know what we did with DARE program and my commitment to you. And you know, Judge Brenda, I mean, you know, if you ever want an earthly angel, you got one with her. You know, and so I just think we're better fit into two people. You know, a day is not just enough. You know, and I think just as a token, I think with Mr. Friend, a token, what we're doing, all the people in Plaquemine Parish will say what the former council members say. You know, Sammy, as Mitch said, you know, he created the Facebook page that everybody's trying to imitate. And the only thing I can say to both of y'all, and that in the word of Muhammad Ali, often imitated, but can never be duplicated. We love you, and God continue to bless you.
Ms. McCarty?
Mr. and Mrs. Himes, would you please stand so the camera and the people at home can see who you are? Or would you like to come up for a second? I'm sure there are people that have just moved to the parish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I don't know you personally, but I'd like to say that from what I've heard about you, you work from the heart and you do God's work, and we'd like to thank you for taking care of the people in Plaquemines Parish.
I just want to say that they are a true role model for our community, role model as parents, and role model as giving of their heart. Ms. Himes, you know, she involved with a lot of things. She graduated from Post Sulphur. You know, she's a Post Sulphur Bronco, and she do a lot of things, and she can sing.
Amen.
Now, I'm going to talk about Big Sam. You know, I ain't supposed to say anything good about a Bearish Wildcat. But I'll let you know, I had to play against Big Sam. Couldn't move him. Couldn't move him. And very, very athletic. And couldn't dunk the ball when we used to play in Sunrise School. But
You couldn't
truly.
move no Wildcat.
Now, wait up now. I think we was at a disadvantage. We had to play up Big Sam, Big Lindsey, David Durden. I think some of them guys had 4 beers when I was playing. But truly, y'all are a blessing to the people in our community and the people of this parish. And thank you from the bottom of my heart of everything that y'all do for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sammy?
President wanted.
Sam? Hey, my time with you, has been short. Basically, we've just gotten together since the beginning of this year, but my knowledge of you has been very long. Some of my friends, like Anthony Beers, look, speaks very highly of you guys. And look, I know a lot of stories about you, and it's all through all of like these guys and the friends. Look, like I said, our time together has been short, but I hope that it goes a long, long time. So thank you.
Let's take a vote.
Mr. LaFrance,
Yes,
I would like to say something.
please.
Friends. That's how we greet each other, no matter where we are. We have been lifelong friends. If anyone deserves this, you two do.
That's right.
You pour out the best part of both of you all whenever something's happening in the community or whenever someone's in need. My husband is the preacher, but I'm right there with him. And the Bible says, can anything good come out of Nazareth? So I can say, can anything good come out of Plaquemines Parish, not just Port Sulphur?
All right.
Because y'all represent all of Plaquemines Parish. Sure, Brenda and Sammy Hines come out of Plaquemines Parish, and they're not just good, they're great. We love y'all.
Please. Please come to the mic, please.
Right.
Is Sammy okay? Okay.
He's emotional. He's okay. That's my brother-in-law and that's my sister-in-law. And I know him better than anybody in this room. And what you see is what you get. Hallelujah. He has a big heart. And that is his ministry, what he does. And what he does it because he loves the children. And you see his wife? You better not mess with Big Sam, because she coming for you. Hallelujah. We love you, and we know what you do it from your heart. And we just love you. They love you. Love you.
Thank you.
They don't make people like this anymore. Uh-oh, he from Pastor.
I'm sorry, Reverend Pansy, when you get to the mic, please state your name and give us your address.
My name is Reverend Mendrell R. Pansy Sr. My address is 102 Cambridge Street, Belle Chase, Louisiana, and I am a resident of Plaquemines Parish. I am indeed honored to stand up here today to speak about two awesome people who God has blessed in my life, from a child all the way up. I call Mr. Sammy my sheriff, because when I was young, he was my DEL officer, and just like family. And Sister Hines was always like a second mother to me, always been there to help me, to love me, to guide me on the right path. And today, without those two in my life, I probably would not have made the accomplishments I've made, in my life. They have been there throughout the whole time, not only through high school and all of that, after my mother passed, through college. And still today, Mr. Sammy come and check on me and make sure everything is great. And I'm also honored to say that, they go to one of the greatest churches on this side of heaven, Greater Macedonia Baptist Church. And I'm proud of those things. And I'm proud to say that I also follow in those great footsteps. Y'all have been wonderful role models, not only to myself. Sister Hines have adopted my wife, my kids. They treat us very well. And I'm proud to say that. And even with Plaquemines Parish, I know y'all said all these wonderful things about them, but from my heart, as a baby growing up in this parish, without Mr. Sammy and Sister Hines, I don't know what Plaquemines Parish would actually look like. And we thank all of you, to our president, who's doing an awesome job, to this council, and all those who labor with him. We appreciate you all for doing such a great thing and for the fine job that you're doing in Plaquemines Parish. May God bless you.
Thank you.
They probably feed you well too, huh?
Oh, yes.
I know.
And the vote?
We voted, huh?
Yeah,
It hasn't been.
it hasn't been counted.
9-0.
And the vote passes unanimously, 9-0. Can we please go take a picture?
Y'all come
All of us say that. On my camera after you get your. Thank you very much. Where the brother?
Get back in. Get back in, brother.
You good?
Test. I also want to say I like those colors, black and gold.
He's wearing this.
On behalf of Sam, may I please?
Yes.
Yes.
On behalf of Sammy and myself, I truly, we truly thank you all for this presentation. This is beyond awesome for us. What we do out of love. God has blessed us to become his vessels, that wherever we are, wherever we go, the Bible says the steps of a good man is ordered by the Lord, is ordered by God. Sammy Hines is a good man. The things that I came into his life, what, 43 years? 43 years ago. And I found him coaching children, coaching basketball, football. You know, I would go to bed on Friday night, wake up Saturday morning, house full of kids. He just loved doing what he does. He's a mentor. We get calls at night. I can't find my daughter. He knows where to go, buy the boyfriend, come on out of there. You know, it's just things that my husband does just out of the kindness of his heart. When Sister Crystal asked me to give a little brief history, I couldn't name everything that my husband has done. I mean, from night out, starting in New Orleans in the 80s, parades, to moving it down to Port Self and my sister Loy's yard with hot dogs and water, Cokes, to what it is now. We're grateful. And we can't do it without the community. We can't do it without the sponsors and the people that just show him so much love. So on behalf of Sam and myself, all I can say is the love he's shown. This man wrestled a 500-pound bear. And all the donations, the proceeds went to Beers High School. You know? So just imagine that. That's the love that this man has. And I thank God every day for the love that he shows to his community, to myself, to the family. And again, on behalf of Sammy Himes, myself, our beautiful daughters, my son-in-law, and my grandchildren, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Crystal, I love you, sister. You know that. Reverend Edwards, Mr. LaFrance, y'all are awesome. All of you guys are awesome, but those people play a key role in our lives. And I thank you all so much. Thank you.
Love you
Habo.
too. Love you too.
I,
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say too much, but I talked too much, but I just wanna thank everyone. First of all, I wanna thank the good Lord. I might not be moving fast like I used to, but I still try to get the job done.
Doing a good job.
I couldn't do it without the help of this woman next to me, my everything, my wife, Brenda Hines, my daughter, and the one that's Latanya, and my son-in-law. Thank you very much, Phyllis, sister-in-law, Pastor. So I'm not gonna say too much, but I want to also thank everyone that have faith in me and my wife. And if God is the same, we can continue to bless and try to help our young people, our old people, or anyone who needs help in our parish of Blackman. We love the parish, and I thank everyone up here today. And on a quick note, Mark about the bear, Stanley Goulet. I wasn't even there. Stanley Goulet was the principal. He walked up to me and said, Sam, I need you to help me raise some money for some kids. And the kids came to me, Mr. Sam, well, she's going to fix that again. Fix that, Miss Dad, she will come out some beer for us. Well, I thought, because Goulet kept on winking at me. Well, I thought they were going to put a man in the bed suit to make it look good, you know? So, when me and my wife and that young lady right there, she was a baby there. We pulled up to the Bears High School, and they had a trailer out there, which carried a horse there. I told Brenda, I said, boy, they sure making this look for real. So, we got in there, got in the foot car, went to walk in the gym. Then I see they open the back door, and there it was. 750-pound black bear. With nothing to survive. I know, man, I think the dog gonna bear rabies. So, I had a choice. I get back in my car, get up on those kids, or go up in there and just beg Gina not to kill me. So, my choice was to help them kids out. Standing room only, Bears High School gym. Standing room only, they raised a lot of money. Of course, I only stood up on my feet for 3 seconds. The other 2 minutes and 57 seconds I was up back. It was Ginger on top of me. It was like daring me to move. So, and then from there we went to post office 2 weeks later. I'm almost finished. This time, I think I heard the bear. This time. But the first time I stood in front of the bear, but this time I was behind the bear. First time I went first, but this time I let some other people go first. So I didn't really win, but so my next move was coming to bell chase. But by this time, Judge Perry came out with a new law. I guess their bed trailer must have said, man, you hurt my bed. They came out with a new law. They banned bear wrestling, cruising to animals. And one more thing I did to myself, what about cruising to me? They were tearing me up. Thank y'all, God bless y'all. I love y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I got to tell y'all something else. Don't do much. You don't think where I'm supposed to be at right now?
Put on John's
Girl
mic.
volleyball team called me.
Put on John's
About
mic.
New Orleans. You know how it is in New Orleans. My children are scared. They won't go up there by themselves. I told them I had to be over here. But this will be my last trip I'm going to miss with them today. One more thing, the football team called me. They want me to go with them to Lake Charles. So I just want to let y'all know I appreciate y'all. Thank you. But this
Don't do that during football season.
Yeah.
Sammy, one more thing, bye.
We'll move to item 4.
Status report by the parish president.
That's going to be a tough one here. Well, the booster station in Alliance is up and running, and I'm being told it's pushing water, potable water, all the way down to Venice. So that's pretty much it's a success right there. The water plant, they've finished all of the work. What we're waiting for now is Entergy is going to be out there tomorrow morning, plug the meter in. They'll be able to go ahead and fire the station up. Now, when they start making water, we probably won't be able to push the water out till about next Tuesday because there's nowhere to get the water tested over the weekend. The RO, the reverse osmosis for East Point Lahash, it's been ordered, so we're just waiting we're just watching, monitoring the levels of the salinity in the river right there. The adjudicated properties, that's been pretty much a success. We're like in our second week right here. We've had 5 residents come in and pay their taxes. We've had 7 to 8 people make deposits on properties, so they're looking to put in offers and bid on the projects. And then some other residents have put in minimum offers on some other projects, on some other properties there. There's a burn ban statewide, so we're asking for us to, be cognizant of that in here in our own parish. We're asking everyone to still conserve water. We have had, in the first 6 months, we had 13 water line breaks. In the last, since July and the first two weeks in August here, we've had 51 water line breaks, and that's due to the lack of rain and the ground settling down. We've got a meeting set up with a Dennis Lambert. He's a grant type. I don't know if he's a writer or an administrator, but we're working on some water treatment plants, dual transmission lines. So we're really moving forward and fast and furious on the water situation here, because really I believe with everything that's going on with climate, I guess if you want to say climate change and all, and with the way the river and the Corps is doing with all the crevasses that are open throughout the river, I think we're going to be looking at a potential of this saltwater intrusion. This could be more of an annual or every other year type situation. So we're really moving hard and thinking very much into the future as far as what we need to do. And I believe what we're doing right now with this booster station and getting the Port Sulphur water plant up, that's going to eliminate problems in the future here. With that right there, we've got some. Is John here? Okay, we got some coastal projects. I'd like John can go ahead and talk on that right there. We've got a meeting on this side of the river next week with Reverend Edwards to talk about all the different coastal projects, but just give a little short synopsis.
Sure. The newest one up on the blocks is a grant from NOAA that we applied for. What this is going to be is a ridge protection that'll go behind this back levee that goes from Bohemia all the way up to Phoenix. We're applying for a $65 million grant. It will put a ridge, it will put natural protection, it'll reduce the carbon footprint. That'll happen all through that area. We're continuously working on the East Bank Land Bridge, which will start at the Davant Community Center, and then it will branch out from there and travel all the way across to St. Bernard, protecting the triangle that is up towards Carnarvon. So that is also in progress now.
Crystal?
Okay, as you all know, on the finance side, finance is currently working on the pay plan. Councilman LaFrance you had that under discussion, but I'll go ahead on and give you a status of where we're at with that right now. Pay plan revision has been finalized for all classified employees that will grant a merit and a cost of living raise. A merit increase will need to be done first before we can do a cost of living, according to civil service. The administration has proposed the cost of living raise that will adjust the minimum salary on the lowest pay grade of the pay plan to $30,281 annually. Once the employee completes his 6-month probation period, he or she will be able to earn a 5%, the 5-step rule, the 5% raise according to the civil service rule, Rule 4, Section 2, and the annual salary will then move up to $31,826 on the lowest pay grade. This will increase the hourly rate for the lowest pay grade to $14.56 for those that are on step 0 and $15.30 for step 5 after the 6-month probationary period. At the next council meeting, we'll be bringing forth a resolution to the council at the next meeting for to go to the Civil Service Commission to approve the special merit and cost of living increase. Administration will ask the council to suspend the rules so the resolution can be adopted at that meeting. Once the Civil Service Commission approves that the increases, the council will then need to approve an ordinance at the September 21st meeting to grant the increases. Administration also plans on including a cost of living raise to the unclassified employees in the same ordinance. Civil Service requires 30 days to implement the raises, so if all goes according to plan, we hope to have the raises in place by the end of October.
Thank you for that report.
Also, HR met this week. They had their first committee meeting, insurance committee meeting, to look at proposals, different proposals for insurance renewals that's coming up. So they're meeting, and we'll compile all that information and get that information out early enough for all council members to review. And I think that's all I have.
And also for employees to read.
Yes.
Yes. Is there any comments from the audience? Please state your name and address, Mr. Brock.
Clarence Brock, 156 Crossover Land. We still using that address. We still using that address. I just like comment on the water part of the president talk about. Remember last month, a couple of months ago, Reverend Elvis said he bought in some bottles of water, like 5, 6. I'm bringing in 5, 6 this time. This time, I'm bringing the water. I bring the water, the brown rusty water. And this time, I'm bringing them. So, Viola Bartholomew, they saw me get the water. We got a recording this time. You know, I can't do the recording with my cell phone, so I got a flip phone. But I got somebody to record the water, and you got water coming from Miss Debbie Moyer house, rusty water, and also from Winston Thomas house. Now, Miss Reverend Elvis and I are supposed to get together, and we got some from the church. But we're supposed to get together, and we're gonna solve this problem. So, but I just trying to clear my name that. There is bad water in the line, and I think it's coming from the hydrants, fire hydrants. The fire hydrants are all made out of metal. I don't want to cause the problem. I want to try to solve the problem. So I think it's coming from the metal, because the guy from Infomark said last time there is no metal pipes in Phoenix. One time he said it was in St. John and St. Joseph, but this time, last time he was up here, he said there is no metal pipes. But Reverend Elvis said he's committed to solving this problem, so we're gonna get together. And like I said, the people saying they read, I was the only one complaining about it, but the other people said they didn't know who to complain to, and they're saying that they're not drinking the water, they're drinking bottled water. And I asked them, what's the income a month? They're making less than $20,000 a year. They can't afford bottled water. So I'm just trying to clear my name that there is a problem with the pipes or somewhere, and I think it's from the hydrants. I got dates and names on this one of these bottom. This one from St. John Church. This one from this one's on the 23rd. So these, some on the 23rd and some was the 28, not 28, the 23rd. Well, they got two different dates on it.
Thank you, Mr. Brock. We get the idea.
Like I say, we're going to solve that problem. Reverend Neville and I are going to get together. And all the individuals that call names, they told me I could call their name. So we're going to get together and solve that problem.
Thank you. Any more comment from the audience? From the table, Ms. McCarty.
Mr. Brock.
Go ahead.
Mr. Brock. Is the water constantly, consistently that color, or does it clear up at times?
We ran the water for at two individual houses, I ran the water for like 15 minutes and it cleared up. And also one of the parish employees that worked for him from Mark, he saw the water. I didn't talk to him because I know him. I didn't want to get him upset or angry. He did see the water, and the water that from the hydrant, it was the whole dish was full of brown water. So it's.
One more question: when it clears up and you turn it off and you turn it back on, is it brown again? Have you experimented?
Okay. No, ma'am. We did two houses. We let it run for 15 minutes and it cleared up.
Okay.
But we got a recording of it coming out of two houses brown.
Okay. At my house in Belchase, off of Woodland Highway, on occasion in the past, not the past 2 years, but prior to that, I had rusty looking water, but I was told it was clay pipes. So has Infomark looked at this at all? And could it be clay instead of, since they say it's not metal?
I'm not going to be an expert on this, but it may be the pipes on the customer side if it's an old house.
Okay, true.
But I've spoken with Mr. Morgan on several occasions. They've done tests in that area, and they don't find any rusty water on their side of their side of the meter.
Thank you very much.
It may be old pipes. In the older structures.
All right, can you send Mr. Morgan and we can show you a trailer that just was put there a year ago?
Right.
Mr. Brock, you got my number at the last meeting. Let's get together. We'll come down there with Mr. Morgan, and we'll see the brown water wherever it's occurring.
All right.
Mr. President.
Mr. Konovich, please key in, Mr.
I don't know if y'all seen the crack in the levee I sent to Scott the other day. He called me and told me it was because it's so dry.
Wait up, Mr. Brock.
But it's so long and straight, you know, it's kind of hard to think that it's just from a dry levee.
The Corps of Engineers they were out there today. The grass has been cut from around that area so they can inspect the entire levee. It is from the dryness, and it is subsiding cracks, but it's not any structural damage to the levee that would cause any problems. The inspector that was on site informed us that if it was a heavy rain, it would close back up. But they're going to monitor it because they're inspectors on site with the pipeline company just south of there. So he's going to inspect that on a daily basis to keep an eye on that, and they'll come up with a solution on which way they're going to do to repair that crack down there. But it's of no danger to us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, again, I talked to Mr. Brock when I was out of town and the presentation was made. I called Mr. Brock that same day and told him that I wanted Mr. Morgan and I, the way to come to the spot where this is at. And then that was the understanding, the agreement here that we would do that. And that was on last week. One of the houses you talk about, when I went there, it wasn't, I live in Phoenix. And as of this morning, there's no brown water coming out my faucet. And as he's saying, there's something come every now and then. So we had already made a commitment. I thought it was clear. We were just waiting on him to bring Mr. Morgan and I and wait to that spot so we can see where that is, because we didn't know it. Where Mr. Thomas is living, which is down the street from, that water is running 24 hours there to relieve the pressure so that you don't have brown water. So Mr. Morgan and I have been just waiting on Mr. Brock to actually bring us to that spot so we can address that problem.
Thank you, Reverend Evans. Mr. Champagne.
And Mr. President, I'd like to add, thank you for meeting with us last week, and I just want to let the people know that a number of council members met with the administration and from Morgan, and we're committed to solving this water problem parish-wide, both sides of the river from north to south, and finding ways to make it redundant, because we're concerned about having single points of failure throughout the system. That is being addressed, and I think I can speak for myself and there's many of the other council members that this is our number one priority. Water is life, and we recognize that, and we want to solve it. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Brock. We are taking it very serious. I yield.
Thank you. Any more comments from the table? Administration?
Yes. Before you run me off, the ops team has been working hard every day, like always. Every complaint you guys are sending us, we jumping right on it. Things are moving along pretty good. The team is committed to make sure that any concerns or issues with the public is being addressed right away. We've done it both ways. We tried to stick to an area regardless of what the situation is. The complaints come faster, and it's not really new complaints. It's old complaints that have been lingering forever. So just keep doing what you've been doing. If someone calls you or you see someone on the street, just let me know what that information is, and we'll get it taken care of. I know on the East Bank, we visited a spot for Councilman Edwards to see yesterday, a huge drainage project that we did in-house with just a couple of guys. It's a huge accomplishment these guys knocked out. If we can all just be patient, things are definitely moving along in a positive way. It's looking really good. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll move to deferrals. Let me do deferrals. Yes, we'll after I do the deferral. Item 7C will be deferred. Item 7F would be deferred. Item G will be deferred.
7G?
Yes, 7G, 7F. And item N, 9N will be deferred. On deferral with the additional trailer spot, RV spot, I invite y'all to come and meet with me in my office, speaking with the council members. They asked that I defer this item until we deal with this water problem that we are having.
Which one is that?
The ones that are being deferred.
I got that.
Okay? Thank you. We'll move to the next item, please.
5, bids and advertisements. There are none. 6, beer and liquor licenses.
I have an item for the Couchon delay on the 10th, the 7th, 2023. And is at the Plaquemine Parish shooting range. Any other? Please key in if you have any. We'll move to the next item, please.
Vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll move to item 7A1.
Omar Hamid, application number 2023-365, application date 5/25/23. Construction of new boat shed, leaving existing bulkhead 698 Martin Lane, Happy Jack, Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Champagne. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines is open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Could we take item 2 and 3 in globo?
Chevron Pipeline and Power Application Number 2023-510, application date 5/31/23, proposed abandon in place of approximately 14 miles of the existing 10-inch W1 to LIB riser. The pipeline support pilings at the LIB riser will be removed. Approximately 600 feet of the pipeline support pilings in the LIB riser will be removed 5.8 miles east from Venice on the east bank of the Mississippi River in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana. Councilmember Edwards and Councilmember Kotnovich. Third Coast Midstream, application number 2023-522, application date 8/7/23. Third Coast Midstream is proposing to lower approximately 9,940 feet of the 12-inch Black Bay Gate 6 pipeline via jetting northwest of Bay of River Ocean. Councilmember Edwards.
So offered.
We have a motion by Reverend Edwards. Seconded by Mr. Champagne. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes 8-4, 1 abstention. Item B, please.
B, Rory and Jean Windhorse new camp in a floodplain zoning district, 117 Timber Canal Lane, Port Sulphur, Louisiana. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Juritage. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0 unanimously.
D, Falcon Crest Number 1, Gary Falcon, Trailer Park Renewal, Falcon Loop, Empire, Louisiana. Councilmember Jurisic.
Let's take D and E in global.
Falcon Crest. No. Falcon Crest Number 2, Gary Falcon, Trailer Park Renewal, Highway 11, Triumph, Louisiana. Councilmember Jurisic.
So offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Juritage. Seconded by Mr. Schultz. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously.
8, Introduction of Ordinances and Resolutions.
We have several introductions. The following are all under Councilmember LaFrance. An ordinance to amend and as amended, readopt sections 4 of the ordinance number 142, the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines, Louisiana, as amended, and the comprehensive zoning district map therein adopted by reference and which is paraph thereto, with reference to application number 2023-530, dated June 9th, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended, readopt section 4 of ordinance number 142, the comprehensive zoning ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the comprehensive zoning district map therein adopted by reference, and which is paraph thereto, with reference to application number 2023-533, dated June 29th, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution approving the requested variance filed by St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church to vary the minimum required front yard setback of 20 feet to 9 feet in a floodplain zoning district, and to waiver the requested 24 off-street parking spaces requirement for a church or temple on a portion of ground designated as Square 3 of the Village of Ironton, 133 Bradish Street, Ironton, Louisiana, Plaquemines Parish, Section 7, Township 16 South, Range 25 East, all in accordance with the application number 2023-531, dated June 15th, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to grant temporary easement to Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority for the Grand Bayou Ridge and Marsh Creation Project, BA-0217, on Buras Levy District lands and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget Buildings Grand Bayou Community Center Department and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This one is for Councilmember Champagne, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, improvements design of Woodland Highway Roundabout Drainage Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This one is for Councilmember Schultz, an ordinance to propose an election to amend the charter for local self-government of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, to create a Department of Arts, Parks, and Recreation, and to provide with respect thereto. That's what I thought. I don't know why it was in here. Sorry. You'll withdraw that, the introduction?
Correct, yeah, it's already on the agenda for.
Under J.
Thank you. Councilmember McCarty, an ordinance to amend and as amended, readopt section 4 of ordinance number 142, the comprehensive zoning ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the comprehensive zoning district map therein adopted by reference, which is paraph thereto with reference to application number 2023-534, dated June 29, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the final one is for Councilmember Jurisic, an ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's it.
9, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 9A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 9A1, an ordinance to...
Deferred.
9A2, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of Justin McGooey, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the map, re-subdivision lots 513, 514, 588, 589, and 590, into lots 513S and 589A, Square North Airport subdivision by Bryant Hammett and Associates, certified by U. McCurdy III, PLS, dated July 15th, 2022, the owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gooey.
Offer ask for a second.
We have a motion by Dr. Gooey,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Konovich.
This is a combination of taking 4 existing lots and combining them into 2. It's in an R2 zoning classification, and it's been approved by all departments.
Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
B, an ordinance to amend the 2023 Public Health Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Ambulances General Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Jurtich. Mr. Konovich?
I'd like to bring Mr. Caminette up here.
Good evening, Jonathan Camnetter, 137 Clawson Road, Belchase, Louisiana. I know at the last council meeting, there were some questions that was addressed, and some answers really weren't answered. So I was asked to come in today to explain currently about the trucks with the pricing and stuff like that. I tried sending everybody some questions that was asked by to Mr. DeMarco. It looks like the questions went through, but the PowerPoint associated with it did not. So briefly, the first question is how much does a running unit typically cost? They're about $300,000 to $330,000 a piece for a demo model is what we're looking at right now for the Class 1 ambulances. Now, there were some questions before about different classes. A Class 2 is a ambulance that's a van chassis. It's a very slimline, tight unit They're typically used for transporting from like nursing homes and stuff like that where space is not needed. And then there's a Type 3, which is what our older trucks, which I have one outside if y'all would like to look at later on. Those are now only made in gasoline models. The Type 2s run about 5 to 6 miles per gallon. They're about $220,000. The downfall to them is there is no patient care space in them. It's very, very tight quarters. Anybody with a bigger build takes up about 3/4 of the ambulance in the back. The Type 2, like I said, the biggest downfall to that is it is a gasoline engine, 4 to 5 miles per gallon.
So it would be a problem for me and Mr. Konovich and Mr. Schultz.
It would be a problem just for you and me to be in the back of it.
Me and you, okay.
You're saying I'm big?
What are you trying to say, man?
Huh?
They're very short, vehicle height, very tight spacing in the back. And you still have to carry all the equipment that the other trucks carry as well. To equip a unit, it costs $30,000 for an autoloader. What we typically been doing in the past is taking autoloaders from older units and putting them in a brand new unit when we get it.
What is an autoloader?
So an autoloader is part of the stretcher system that basically makes it easier for the crew to get the stretcher in and out of the ambulance. It basically lifts up the stretcher, put it in the truck, keeps the batteries charged on the stretcher. Basically, it helps also saving EMS from having additional back injuries and stuff like that from picking up heavier patients and stuff.
Okay.
On top of that, it's about $6,000 to $8,000 for decaling, and we have an additional fee. If we don't come buy a unit with an autoloader, it's $1,000 for them to come and install and certify our pre-existing autoloaders. Currently, we have a shortage of autoloaders because one truck never had an autoloader installed in it. So with the state funds, originally the plan was to get a new autoloader to put in that new truck. It would give us a warranty on it, and we wouldn't have any additional fees for a period of, I think it's 5 years for that. Other than the stretchers, we have that in stock. The decals, like I said, are about $6,000 to $8,000, depending on what the state ordinance is for that style of truck. The radios, we transport those out of the older units and put them in the new units. Those are about $10,000 to $15,000 a piece if we were to go buy them. Because we have to have 2 radios in the truck. One in the front for the dispatch and one in the back for emergency services to the hospitals and stuff. It's called a HERS radio. If we had to go buy monitors, all the equipment inside the ambulance, including the stretcher, we're looking at a cost of about an additional $200,000.
Repeat that?
$200,000.
For what?
For everything inside the stretcher in the ambulance if we were to go buy it.
The total cost would be?
If we were to go buy without taking anything from surplus, it would be over $500,000 for an ambulance. That's why we do like we do. We take the older equipment out of these trucks and reutilize it for however long we can until it either goes out or we get to the point that it has to be replaced. So right now, without the autoloader, we're looking at about $330 to $350 on our side per truck. I was also asked about the staffing. Currently, we know that we have an employee. She's basically on her way out. She has vacation and sick time that she's burning. So we're technically 1 extra employee right now in EMS as far as our full-time staff. And we have 2 part-timers. 1 part-timer is working basically full-time hours, covering the Buras Venice area. And the Buras and Venice Fire Departments have basically said that they will drive the ambulance for her. So we're getting coverage down there now, whereas 2 weeks ago, we didn't have that because it took us 6 months to get civil service for her. And that's about it on the actual staffing right now.
Is there any comments from the audience? Ms. McCarty.
I have some questions just to clarify what you have said. So I'm going to try and recap it a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First, I want to ask, what company are we purchasing this from? And
we have gone to the 2 major distributors, which basically the equivalent of, not in layman's terms, but in local terms, a Don Bone Agency Group and a Ray Brandt Agency Group. They represent 10 out of the 12 ambulances.
What are the names of the companies?
Siddons Martin.
Siddons
Martin.
Can you spell that?
SIDDONS And then Serves. Like I said, they are the two main distributors. They each represent about 5 ambulance brands per company. So that's
Okay.
10 out of the 12 major manufacturers.
Did you go to anyone who bills ambulances locally?
You have to go through a dealer. There is no local certified, as far as I've ever seen in my 20 years, a local ambulance builder.
Okay, I have to get back to you on that because I think I have contradictory information from someone
Acadian
else.
used to build their own ambulances, and they haven't done that for about 10 years.
I'm not talking about Acadian.
I'm just saying that's the only one that I know of locally.
Okay, so we currently have Class 3.
Yes.
And
Class 2s. I mean, sorry, Class 3 and Class 1s.
Okay, so if you were to acquire another Class 3, that would be gas model.
Yes.
If we were to acquire a Class 3 that was re-welded together, because I understand that there are some companies that take old models and put them on new chassis, and they make them look like new. Is that correct?
That's when the first meeting when that came up, and I explained to y'all about the remount costs. The cost of the condition with our older trucks were right there at about the $280,000.
No, I'm talking about buy a new chassis, but take a company that has received the back part from another company and put the two together.
That's what I'm talking about, ma'am.
300,000.
That's close to about 300,000.
Okay. And in comparison, you're saying to go to a Dodge dealership that has a brand new unit would be between 300 and 330,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So both of them are basically apples to apples in cost, but neither one is equipped internally.
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. And then the Class 1, the difference between the Class 1 and the Class 3 is that the Class 3 does not have as much room to get from the cab to the back unit?
Basically, they explain the Class 3, it's an Econoline van that they chop the back off and put the big box on the back of it. Typically, they're about a 12-foot box, and that's the Class 3s are the gas engine models.
Even the older ones?
Even the older ones. Well, now the older ones were diesels, but you can't get the diesel engines anymore. They don't make them in that model.
Okay. I thought only Class 2 was like a van.
No, ma'am. It's the Class 3s, they take the front line part of an Econoline, and they cut off the back 3/4 of it, like I said.
Okay.
Cut up the box to it.
Okay.
Like I said, I have a Class 3 outside if y'all would like to look at it after the meeting. It's there for y'all to look at.
Okay. So then Class 1 has more room to get from the cab to the back of the...
It does not, with a pickup truck chassis, you cannot physically get inside the cab to the back. It has more room in the patient compartment for taking care of a patient, and you having more than one patient in the back, you can actually accommodate 2 or 3 patients in the back. 2 criticals, 3 stable patients.
Okay. Regarding staffing, did you finish your presentation on staffing?
Yes, ma'am. I gave it to Mr. DeMarco.
Okay. In communicating with other people, I want to ask you a few questions about that.
Sure.
Do we have a problem with staffing because people are not being able to pass the civil service requirements?
There's some requirements that civil service has in their descriptions that delayed several people that are outdated requirements. Example, a bloodborne pathogen class. That hasn't been taught since 2015. These were 2 paramedics with close to 15 years experience that they were delayed so long that they went and found other jobs.
Okay, so to recap that, you said that civil service is requiring you to have someone with the qualifications of having passed a class for bloodborne pathogen.
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. God, I was wondering about that. Okay.
It has not been a self-sufficient class for the most part. Since 2015, it's part now of the CPR class. So they're getting bloodborne pathogen knowledge and training in their CPR, but because she doesn't have a bloodborne pathogen certificate, she delayed them.
Okay. Is there anything related to needing a certification from the fire department that once they receive that, it would allow them to pass the civil service requirements?
Not that I know of. I don't know what you're.
You said something that we could get them trained through the fire department.
We can train EMRs to drive the ambulance.
Okay.
And that's something that's in the presentation that we talked to Mr. DeMarco about, and it's in the works to come forward in front of the council.
Okay. The training that's required for civil service right now, is that offered, let's say, at Holy Cross?
We're talking about training. Let's get back to ambulances. I mean, we're talking 50.
This is about whether or not we can get the staff to take the ambulance, and I'm almost finished.
We're talking about this for over 15 minutes now.
Ma'am, I am a certified instructor. That's why I was a little late getting here today. I've been teaching all day long today at the LNG plant. When I contact the people that I teach through, which is American Heart and a few other services through the state, when they say bloodborne pathogens, and people that have been there 20 years say, I haven't seen a bloodborne pathogen book or training in the last 10 years.
So you're asking for 800,000 and you want, how much? 2? Oh, I thought it said here 800. Okay.
800 for 2.
At 300 to 330,000 each.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. Thank you very much. I yield.
Mr. Schultz.
So one of my questions last time was the $500,000 from the state. I called Mr. Cormier today, and he said that the award letters should be going out this week or early next week, but we're not going to get the funds for about a month. He said he talked to the Treasury Department. I then asked him, if we use our money, our funds to buy the ambulance, can that funds be reimbursed? And he did not have an answer. He was not 100% sure. That is my main problem with buying the 2 now is if we get the $500,000 from the state and we can't reimburse it, then we're buying a third. So I'm okay with buying 1 right now, but I don't want to buy the second one until we get an answer from the state Treasury Department. I tried calling them, could not get in touch with them today with the right person. And that's my main concern is, are we going, when we get the $500,000, can we replenish our funds? Or are we stuck at that point buying 3 new ambulances with basically 3 of them are spares? I mean, that's my main concern. I'm okay with buying 1 right now if we want to amend it, but
The thing says we have to buy an ambulance.
correct. But
So if we buy it, I don't see why we can't.
that's the thing. It's not clear but can it be reimbursed? Like that money be reimbursed to us for buying an ambulance? It's not clear in the way the law is written. And I tried calling the Treasury because it's not like a grant. It's just money coming from the state to buy an ambulance. Can we buy it now and be reimbursed, or do we have to wait and use that particular money to buy it? That's my concern.
Do you mind if I add on to that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, that's my concern.
So in reference to that, I asked a few people in government because I had the same question. The response to me was, well, if you order an ambulance today, when do you take delivery? Right now, we're looking at close to a year with demos the way that it is before we take delivery.
But when do we have to pay? I'm assuming we have to pay a deposit on
You
it.
pay a deposit and then you pay the rest of it when the truck comes in. Now, I also asked Mr. Cormier, and he gave me a different story about 3 weeks ago. He said that as long as it's spent within the 1-year timeline, that any proof of the purchase was sufficient.
See, and that I asked him today. He didn't mention anything about that. And he said that would be a Treasury Department question. He gave me contact. I could not get in touch with that person. So that's my main concern is the timing. And it looks like we're not going to get the funds for about a month. So that's my concern. If y'all know anything different, please chime in. I know we got money from the state in the past. How does that work?
I just realized about the money. So we went on the Treasury website, downloaded the CEA to receive those funds, and there's different ways of doing that. There's like 3 options, and so we started filling out the CEA, but I didn't get to the point at which I could speak to someone at Treasury and say, okay, of these 3 options, which one is available to us? So one of them is reimbursement, one of them is a lump sum. There's different options. So I just don't know. This is the first time I've dealt with a direct appropriation from the legislature. So I'm trying to feel my way through it. So unfortunately, I can't answer that question today, but I think at the next council meeting, I probably can. So I had to forward the CEA to Jeff, because there's all these requirements. They want to know what your deliverables are and what the outcomes are going to be and all this other stuff that I don't have. So we're in the process of doing that. We should have more information by the next meeting.
Want to defer?
You finished? Mr. Champagne?
Mr. Cam Netter, your grasp of knowledge on this, on the ambulance is commendable. Great job on a great brief. Ms. McCarty, I apologize. I'm not trying to run it short, but I know we were looking at the training and all the things we get. We owe them that. We're going to get that. I know where you're trying to. So I appreciate you running down that hole, but we can talk about that all day because it is good.
Well, it was an issue today.
Yeah. But I will tell you that one of the things I am opposed to, I don't like piecemealing equipment that people's lives depend on. I don't like moving chassis and bodies. We owe it to our citizens, that first-class equipment, because it's a life-saving device. If there is an option to reimburse our accounts, and legal has said that there is an option to reimburse, my recommendation is that we pull the trigger on these things now, buy 2, and reimburse ourselves for 1 with the $500,000. Our citizens deserve that. Just like we have our commitment to getting clean, potable water to them, because water is life, these ambulances make the difference between life and death, and we owe first-class equipment to them. So my recommendation is to buy 2 and reimburse with the $500,000 from the state, if that's an option. I yield.
Reverend Edwards?
Those are my exact sentiment. Mr. Japan, we're talking about people's lives. We shouldn't be playing with it. They deserve the best. And I think we should go on and purchase the 2 and deal with whatever come after that. But we're talking about life. It's better to have it and need it than need it and not have it.
Yes, sir. And like I said, it may be up to a year before we receive the first truck. So, I mean, we got to get the ball rolling if we can, because I think it's going to be too late for this year. Initially, right now, talking to the 2 manufacturers, we're looking at mid-24 before the possibility of a first truck.
Mr. Newsom?
The administration is requesting we defer it and reintroduce it. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I expect to speak with Treasury before the next council meeting, so I should have firm answers on that.
Defer and go to 8?
Right, it's been deferred. More discussion.
Oh.
8,
The item has been deferred. We'll move to item 8, please.
introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
Can you reintroduce that item, please?
An ordinance to amend the 2023.
Please put your mic on.
I'll read it. An ordinance to amend the 2023 Public Health Fund operating expenditure budget, ambulances general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And this is Councilmember Kotnovich's.
Okay,
We're going back to C.
let's go back to the next item, please. I think that is item C.
An ordinance to amend the 2023 general fund operating expenditure budget, buildings, Grand Bayou Community Center Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
And I'd like to amend it to 40,000. Offer with changes.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Konovich.
40 instead of.
Yes.
Hey, I have a question about the change. You want the maintenance buildings and grounds to go from 50 to 40, or the entire thing to be reduced by 40,000?
No, I want the total for that item to be 40,000.
So the $119,951 to,
Cross it out to 40,000.
got it.
I so offer with changes, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience?
So wait, say that again. What are we doing?
Instead of taking.
Instead of 119, we're doing 40?
Yes.
So we need to adjust the line items in the chart.
So in the chart, I think you want the equipment to be 40,000 and the other two line items to go away.
To be 0, okay.
Okay.
So in line 16, we'll have 40,000, where 119,951 is. Under equipment general, we'll have 40. Okay.
And eliminate 25, 24, 25, eliminate, and you're gonna make, 27, 40, that's what you're saying, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was just.
Those two are gone. The first two are gone, and then the 25 will be. Yeah. Because I think based on what you
Line
purchased.
16, would be 40,000.
Yes.
Is that equal 40?
Get rid of them.
Any comments from the audience? From the table? Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, with the 40,000, we got, it's on the general equipment. Do we have any idea what equipment we buying other than general? You know, just, we gotta be good stewards of our taxpayers' dollars instead of just writing a blank check. Again, as I'm gonna use Mr. Henry's terms, the people should know where their money's going instead of just a general fund. I'd like to have some comment or discussion on what are we.
Well, I can let you know, Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, sir.
We need an ice machine back there. We need tables and chairs. We need that deck to be changed, the decking and the steps around that area. I like to have a TV set and that when people come and do presentation.
Do we have to put some money here for the decking? Okay, that's fine.
Well,
just make. Sometimes we make things more complicated than what it is.
I agree with you, but I'll be honest with you. I went to that site Tuesday, walked on the deck, and as you know, I'm walked up and down one side of the deck, the stairs, walked up down the other one. Felt like it walked up the handicap ramp. I couldn't go in the building because it was locked, which I just don't like wasting money. And then, you know, I don't know what kind of ice maker we putting in there. We putting a 2,000-pound ice maker? What's the ice maker for? I just want to have a good idea of what the tax, not my money. Well, I guess I'm a taxpayer. So what my money's going for. I also saw tables. They have about 4 tables in there. Each table had at least 6 to 8 chairs around there. They were all set up. They had tablecloths, but I could see through a crack in the window about this big. So, again, I want to get that. The building definitely does deserve to be in good shape. You know, the grass around it is in horrible condition. We need to cut the grass around it, which is probably on us as a government to do. But granted, there should be some type of TV in there. Who's going to use this building? Does this building, I'm going to ask Mr. DeMarco and I guess Mr. Beers, is this building a government building? Should we be into the part of where we charge some usage? Is that part of the legal that we talked about a couple meetings ago, that folks using this building either need to? I'll just ask you guys if you can have a response to that. Thank you.
It's considered a community center and it's owned by the parish. Excuse me. So if we provide equipment to the other community centers. Randy, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's my understanding it's just a community center that's used by the community generally. I don't know that we've ever charged people to use that facility because it's used in a community sense. I don't know that it's ever rented for like weddings and parties and all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's just one of those unusual facilities that We haven't treated like the others. So,
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure we, you know, because we just had some legislation last meeting we passed about buildings and what do we need to charge for them and be competitive and not get ourselves in any trouble. And I just want to make sure we're not getting ourselves in any trouble with this legislation, this ordinance. That's all. Thank you.
Reverend Evans?
You know, again, and I hear Mr. Newsom about being good steward for the people, but I think this is just going a little too far. I'm familiar with the Grand Bayou community. I'm not into monitoring no community about how many people go in the building on any given day or time. And to me, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, we're making more out of stuff than it should be. There's some other serious issues, you know, like some of the stuff we had in executive session that we should be thinking about. Here, talking about $40,000, and I know the stuff we give to other businesses that triple time the money that we got in a community like Grand Bayou or a community with a rich history of doing a lot of good things for a community that very seldom have anything anyway. And the fact that we give them $40,000, we should be glad that we're saying we're helping a community that all the time we don't give anything to. So I'm familiar with this community, its rich history, the work is done for community, and people from all over the country come to that community, So I think $40,000 to me for that community is pennies, and we should be arguing about giving a community pennies. That's just my personal opinion.
Thank you, Reverend Evans, for those comments. Mr. Champagne.
I spoke to you before we got in the meeting, and I understand what Councilmember LaFrance is doing. You know, his intent, he's getting the $40,000. That doesn't mean he's going to spend every dime. And before we purchase an ice machine, he's obviously going to make sure we have some competitive pricing and hopefully get a good ice machine for a good price. So I understand what you're trying to do. I know the community, if they need an ice machine, they need TVs. You know, and I know that you're going to be responsible in pricing. And I know that we have to get a certain amount of money. I know we're trying to make sure that we have, you know, exact pricing for everything, but that's when we're talking things in the magnitude of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think what we're talking, this threshold is something that I think we can manage, take a look at and say it is a block of money, but Mr. LaFrance was going to work with him and I hopefully get everything he needs for under that. So I think maybe we need to take a look at this because it does appear that we're micromanaging, even though we're trying to be responsible with the taxpayers' money, but it's hard to really get down to that granular level, especially when we're talking this low amount of money. I know what you're trying to do. I'm in support of that. I know they can get an ice machine, but to what Mr. Newsom's saying, we need to make sure that it is for the use of the community center, that we're not buying an ice machine to supply ice for everybody in the world. You know, that's where we get in that issue. So I think we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to take care of our constituency and trying to be responsible. I think in this case, Councilman LaFrance, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get an ice machine for that center, trying to make sure the building is suitable to use, and I support your effort. I yield.
Thank you. Any more comments from the table? From the administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. Next item, please.
D, an ordinance to amend the 2023 revenue and operating expenditure budgets and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. I yield to the administration.
These are FOIDs from the opioid settlement. What it was payments that were made to the parish, not in a timely manner. So what they've done is they've taken and advanced us more monies. So we got with the judges and this is going to go to Judge Connor's court so that he can get a new vehicle for drug court.
Is there any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll move to the next item, please.
E, an ordinance to amend the 2023 Waterworks and Sewage Fund operating revenue and expenditure budgets and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I'm not going to offer it. If anybody else wants the table, will offer it.
I'll offer. Yeah, I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz, seconded by Mr. Newsom. We'll yield to the administration. Oh, you won't? Mr. Schultz? Well, I just want him to explain.
I need my mic on, though.
Clear, Mr. Konovich? Mr. Schultz?
So I talked to Ms. Morrell about this. What this is recording in the budget the changes we made earlier this year, the revenue that resulted in. This is not changing any fees or anything at this point. This is just recording the change in the budget that we already voted on earlier this year, basically to record the revenue change where we have a decent budget.
Any comment from the audience?
Chris.
Please state your name, your address, please.
Arthur Henry, Belchase. Chris, you 100% sure there's no increase here? 100% sure?
Please, live all the mics. All mics are live. Thank you.
Correct. So it reads that the operating revenue budget is amended, and then in the digest is saying that the an ordinance to increase the waterworks and sewer revenue budget due to the adoption of the ordinance 2347 to increase. So this was earlier this year when we passed it, and this is the budget to record the additional revenue where for financial purposes it's properly reflected. So that's what this is. It's just recording, making the change to the budget. We adopted the rates earlier this year, but we never made the budget amendment. Now we're trying to get ready for next year's budget, year end, all that. So we're just amending the budget based on those rates. Once those rates came in, we had some changes due to Empire South is their water rates are being waived right now due to saltwater intrusion, all that. So we needed good numbers, and these are the numbers that Ms. Morrell, based on the changes then and now, to reflect it into the budget.
So you just gotta do paperwork to start this out.
This is just amending the budget because they're starting the budget process for 2024, and this is basically amending this year's budget to reflect the changes, and then where we have good numbers to prepare for next year's budget.
You know, I got up here when we was in Belchase when this first thing passed about the water increase. That wasn't supposed to go into effect 24.
No, sir. It was supposed to go into effect July 1st, 2023.
Not what you had said in public. If you go back.
The CPI increase was going to be in place for 2025, actually, because we want a full year.
I want to get this straight. The people, man, we got to stop doing these little finagle things for the people, man.
It was, if I had them, it was July 1st, 2023. I had it in front of me at the time. So I remember you asking about the CPI, and that doesn't change until 2025, January 1st, 2025, because we need a full year budget.
Mr. Konovich.
Just saying that I voted against it then, and I'm voting against it now.
Ms. McCarty.
I just wanted to clarify, and maybe Mr. Schultz can do it as well, that when he says record, he means we have to put the new numbers in the books and balance the books, correct?
Correct. Well, correct. Not necessarily balance. We're basically amending the budget to record the transaction of additional revenue, and there's some expensive changes that goes along with it, basically. So yes, that's all we're doing is amending the budget based on that ordinance 2347.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, and that was my understanding, Brother Arthur, is that this was not about increasing, it was just about to get the budget straight. So, because I asked the same question, because I'm not voting for increase on it. So I'm definitely supporting it because it's just for the finance office to have the records and stuff straight. So that was my understanding because I asked that same question. So I mean, I have the same position that Chris had of understanding that if it's anything else, then that's not what this saying.
Any more comments from the table? Administration, machines are open. And the measure passes 7 for, 2 against. Next item, please.
F, an ordinance to amend the 2023 general fund balance designations and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comment from the audience? Could you feel?
Mr. Hinckley, I think Ms. Morrell said she needed to defer this until we could get the actual number. She had to make some changes on to get an actual number to replenish it to the $10 million for emergencies.
Okay, this item will be deferred. We'll move to item G, please.
A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare the necessary application to the Louisiana Workforce Commission receiving the Community Services Block Grant funds for the program year 2024 and authorizing the president of the Plaquemines Parish Government to sign and submit said application and contract, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Newsom. Any comment from the audience? Table. Administration. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0.
H, a resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare and file an application with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Government for a grant under 49 CFR 5311 Formula Grant for Rural Areas and or 49 CFR 5339 Grants for Bus and Bus Facility Program as amended to provide public rural transportation to the residents of Plaquemines Parish and further authorizing Plaquemines Parish President to execute and file with such application and assurance of any other documents required, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Ms. McCarty. Any comment from the audience? From the table. Administration. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll move to the next item, please.
I, a resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare the necessary application to the Louisiana Housing Corporation for a grant to provide utility assistance to the residents of Plaquemines Parish for the fiscal year 2024, and authorizing the president of the Plaquemines Parish Government to sign and submit said application and contract, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comment from the audience? From the table. Administration. Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0.
J, an ordinance to propose an election to amend the charter for local self-government of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, to create a Department of Arts, Parks, and Recreation, and to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz, seconded by Dr. Gouy. Any comment from the audience?
Arthur Henry Belchase. When the administration first took office, one of the first things they did was change the director of recreation. Why now you want to bring it back? And basically, I don't see why you need a proposal to change the charter for it when it just could be added to the council.
So after going through recreation for a while, looking at the problems and everything, recreation, I know firsthand, is a mess. What we talked about was doing kind of what you said, is creating the director, but not with the charter change. However, our thought process was if we expand it to parks, arts, parks, and recreation, he can take care of more stuff. But also, if we really want to do things right, it will be a charter change because directors are spelled out in the charter. Also, whenever Mr. Hinckley leaves office, the next director could come in, basically. President, sorry, what did I say? Director, the next president could come in and put it back under whoever at that point. And what we're seeing is some red tape with, it's government. And what we want this director to do is he would know firsthand what's the status of every park in the parish. He would know firsthand what is going on with every recreation field. My hope is for this director to go out for sponsorships, to go out for grants, to go out and basically improve arts, parks, and recreation. We want to expand arts and everything because not all kids play sports. We have adult pickleball, I think, going now, so we want to expand other things to adults. This does not change the budget at this point. Nothing changes. All this does is put it out to the vote of the people. A lot of people, when we ran, one of the main complaints was recreation. So what we're doing is showing that we want to make a change. And ultimately, we're trying to get input from the public to see if the majority of the people want this change. If so, we can have this director tasked with, that's his sole goal is to improve recreation. And basically he will report to the parish president.
Now, when you say art, what's the definition of art?
Well, it could be anything from music. It could be painting. It could be like we have a CEA with Lalaya, dancing. Yeah.
Is all that in the proposition?
Well, no, that's not in the proposition because the proposition is creating the director of arts, parks, and recreation. Arts will be defined by that director and what we offer.
It just sounds like it's another way of just you want a recreation deal, but the arts going to be as vague, but not in particular, to do real art.
Well, the problem is if we put particulars in there and vote on it, then we're limited by what's in the charter at that point. If we say arts is dance, painting, and music, then we can't offer something else. We can't, because that's in the charter. We can't offer things outside that. That's why it's big. Theatrical. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's arts.
You could put theater in there too, nothing wrong with that.
But what we're saying is, until, if we put it in there, then it restricts us.
This is just an attempt for you guys to get this path for recreation, to come back, if the people pass it, or not to go on attack into. Man.
No, sir.
People look through this, my brother.
I am not in favor of new tax. And we talked with the administration before we did this and what their thoughts were. And no new taxes on the table. It won't get voted by me. For a new tax, it won't get voted by me for right now.
Ms. McCarty.
For Mr. Henry and the other people listening, I am in support of recreation and arts because they are a way of developing the brain for education, just like education in structural classes are. Music is very important, and drawing as well. But I want to let you know that I had a very lengthy conversation today with different people who are supporting this. I wanted to make sure that I know that there are issues that our parish is facing, and I wanted to make sure that we were not dedicating funds at this time that would pull away from our need to take care of issues like water, pump stations, ambulance, etc. And that's not the case. So I feel that because of that, and because I was assured that even though we're changing a superintendent might walk into a director position, it does not mean that that director will have the salary of a current director. That salary will be determined at another time as well. So this, as I'm supporting this right now, it is because I am assured that this is just to get this on the ballot and for the people to vote whether or not they would like to set a new, change the charter for a new position. That's all. The people can say no.
Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, and I guess we're getting redundant with this, but I'm in support of it. I think this is the right track to get our recreation on the back in the elite status that it once was when I was heavily involved in it. Mr. Henry, when I was out there coaching, I'm sure you was out there with us on the sideline cheering. And I know you spoke about a tax is coming behind this. And I don't want to quote, but I will not, never, ever support another tax for recreation. It's up to the, as you would say, Mr. Henry, I'm going to use your own words. It's up to the people to decide if this is the right idea and the right way to go. And it shouldn't be up to these 9 folks right here. It should be up to the residents of Plaquemines Parish to decide, and that's why this is such a good idea. And also with the recreation, well, that's off topic. Thank you, and I'll yield.
Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, we've a number of us have been working together on this thing. I know that all of us on this council are very concerned about the state of our recreation department. We've often been questioned about how come we're not as good as some of these other parishes? How come we're not like Jefferson Parish? Well, you know, the way we've been designed under our current charter, which has been in place since the early 1980s, recreation has been there, but it's kind of been an afterthought. I'd say it's wobbled from different directors. It's been under operations. It's been under other departments, but it's never been a high priority. It is a priority, but it hasn't been operationally. Right now, Mr. Witchers has it, and he's got an overflowing plate. And by God, he's doing yeoman's work getting rec done. As Mr. Newsom spoke about, you know, rec has had its heydays, its ups and downs, but these are due to the great work of volunteers, you know, parents, dedicated coaches. Y'all know who they are. Yeah, we've talked about them ad nauseum, but it's never been a priority. It's always been a secondary effort. It's always been something else on the plate. We need to make this something important. What we're proposing is a cradle-to-grave operation where someone, you know, can play rec, and when you outgrow that, you can enjoy the parks, the green space. You can do arts, like Commissioner McCarty spoke about. Not everyone throws a ball, hits a ball. Some people paint, sing, cheer. We want to have a director who's in charge of that, and those are the only things he focuses on, is the welfare of the citizens of our parish. For our youth, and our elderly can enjoy this. This is a cradle-to-grave solution. They will only focus on our parks, our arts program, whatever we choose for that to be. Mr. Henry, you talk about defining what that is. It's whatever we decide it's going to be, not us council, the people. The people, right now we have a recreation committee who's coming up with wonderful ideas, and we're backing the committee's ideas, whatever they come up with. The people are really starting to shape the future of our parish, and that's what we want. And that's why the 9 of us here are not going to make the decisions on this. We want to put it on the ballot and allow the people of Plaquemines Parish to decide whether or not they want to change the way we're structured and actually take recreation, arts, and our parks seriously. I yield.
Reverend Edwards?
Yes. You know, Mr. Henry, I have been struggling around this issue, especially around the charter change part. And I called Chris, I called Renee for the legal department, because my position is, you know, is that while we're saying we respect the people, we are making decisions for the people here, right? The only reason, and I'm supporting this, but here's the thing. Chris assured me that we're going to go to the people and do public hearing. Because I was of the opinion that before we did just even put it, we should have public hearing. Because the history of everything that happened to the past, the changes from the 9, 5, Single Member 9, we have public hearing in every area of the parish. So we're doing this without public hearing. But I still believe that recreation needs to change. I love the part, and we have to really define art, because art for one person don't mean art for another person. But I love the fact that recreation would have its own part. So I'm 100% on that. And I think it's great. I also ran on recreation. I also know that, because I'm in the theater and I did a lot of plays for the YMCA. But the question is, we already changed the rules on community center when it's supposed to be designed for us to do the thing. We could have did more in our community if we didn't have to pay all this money for the fee. But now we talk to people fee, but yet we come and talk about art. So there's some contradiction here. But one thing I'm for is I love this thing of having this department called Department of Art and Recreation, because recreation needs some serious overhaul. And I don't care what we do, politics is involved in it. I'm 100% behind having this position. And the only thing I hate about it is that it didn't go to people first. But it is going to the people. And I believe that if we bring it to the people, then the people will make the decision. So if we bring this to the people and give the people the chance, then whatever happened on the ballot, the people made their decision, at least we brought. But we putting the horse behind the cart in this situation. So I'm 100% for having this position of a director position, because before I was confused on the term director. But the director here is not the same thing as a charter director, because that word has been used director, and some people don't know we're not talking about charter director. We're talking about a charter director position. So I'm 100% for the position, but I don't like the process we used to get here. The only part that I'm hoping come out of this is that we truly have some serious community meeting, so the community meeting can understand what they're voting on. And I believe they got that opportunity to vote their chart based on the hearing that we have.
Mr. Schultz?
So Mr. Champagne and Mr. Edwards hit on mostly what I was going to talk about, but I want to hit on it. Part of the reason is right now recreation is under Mr. Witchers, but he's also over solid waste, drainage, grass cutting, all that. So what we're
Let's go ahead and vote on this.
well, I'm going to be really quick. So what we're trying to do is basically improve recreation. Public hearings, like Mr. Edwards said, I committed to him when he has one on the East Bank. I'm going to be here to talk about it. If Mr. Konovich has one down the road, I will go to each one. And the election is going to be on the runoff election, where more people are showing up. We're not trying to do this on an off election where nobody shows up. This will be on the runoff election in November, and we have a deadline to meet to get it on the ballot. So that's why we're doing it where more people show up and voice their opinion. We're not doing it on an off election in March or April when nobody shows up for those. So that's why we're doing it right now. I yield.
And I'm going to call.
Reverend Edwards?
I'm going to call a question. We've talked about this. Let's go ahead and vote.
We have a question that's been called for. Excuse me. No vote. Only thing I can say, the results is 7 yea and 2 nay vote. That's going to be a talented person to handle that position.
We all got all talent.
I like to see that person going to be a grant writer, going to be over arts, going to be over recreation. That's going to be one talented person.
And it's over with. Let's
move to the next item. Oh, okay. Call for question. Machines are open.
Well, we already did that. This is the vote.
Vote on the issue.
The vote on the item. Reverend Edwards? Again, 7 for, 2 against.
K, an ordinance to amend the 2023 operating revenue budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz, seconded by Mr. Newsom. Mr. Schultz?
So yes, talk over with Mr. Morrell. With the American Rescue Plan, there's a clause in there that if you don't spend the funds within the year, you have to defer the revenue and re-budget. So what this is the money from American Rescue Plan is re-recording the revenue. The money's already been appropriated to different things. I know Highway 11 repairs, we just appropriate some of it to the Grand Bayou, the park, all the money's, except for some of it, due to the amendment today, it has been appropriated, but this is just a paperwork, clerical issue.
Any comment from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines is open. And the measure passes 8-4, 1 against. Next item, please.
A resolution urging and directing the negotiation of a cooperative endeavor agreement between Plaquemines Parish Government and Tulane University to facilitate the development of property owned by Tulane University and Plaquemines Parish and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember McCarty.
Offered.
We have a motion by Ms. McCarty, seconded by Mr. Newsom. Ms. McCarty, you care to explain?
Yes. Perhaps not many people know that Tulane owns 300 acres in the Belchase proper area in District 2. And the land has been used for military purposes since the Revolutionary War. There are about 30 buildings on this land that we could get grants that were similar to what they received in the warehouse district to refurbish this, but the aim is to work with Tulane to attract companies to come here so that we diversify our tax base, diversify the type of jobs and work that is done in the parish. We could attract defense companies. We could attract tech companies. We have people from the base that have security clearances that could work on defense work. We're going to take lemons and make lemonade out of it because this is remote. It's a wooded area, and it's ideal for doing that type of work.
Ms. McCarty, before I move to the audience, how's that going to affect that graveyard back there?
I have not seen the graveyard. Are you talking about the Indian?
I got some of my
graveyard.
That's a graveyard back there.
Ours.
Well, then, because it was not visible on a tour that I took, it would be sanctioned off so that it would not, this is also Tulane's land, not parish land. Remember that. So it would have to be sanctioned off. But it's up to Tulane to decide what to do with the graveyard if it's on that land. It's
not on Tulane property.
Well, then that's not what we're talking about.
Yes, it is. That's on the graveyard back there.
I guarantee you, if it's not on Tulane's land, then we are not discussing that.
Go ahead, Mr. Henry.
Yeah. I mean, is Tulane interested in redeveloping this property?
The CEA is to discuss with Tulane the possibility of developing out
I had to come to this council and ask for any kind of discussions on redeveloping their property that they had back there for years and years and years. Property where, this.
Because Tulane owns this land, they can do whatever they want with it.
I didn't want to get up there and deal with this, but I got you. But I need to let that rest and let it be what it be. But Tulane stay right there where it's at. And if you want to develop something, just let it stay there. I just realized it just stay there. And yes, there is a graveyard back there, but it's on a U.S. government property.
Okay. Mr. Champagne.
Ms. McCarty, I understand what you're trying to do, but, I'm the council member for District 2, and the first I heard about it is when I saw this resolution put out. So I have no idea what you're trying to do. The first I'm hearing about it is now. I'm not sure the administration. I'd like to hear what the administration's thoughts are on this, and if, in fact, they were coordinated with. I applaud any effort to advance our community. To Mr. Henry's concern, not at the expense of any cultural or significant sites. If they're there, they need to be preserved. But most importantly, I would like to know what we're trying to do here before I can even actually make an informed vote, yea or nay on this, because this was not socialized with me at all. I am a little taken back by that because it is my district.
I thought that I had talked to you
I have
about
the
it.
floor. No, ma'am. No, you did not. Maybe you have not. And the first I saw it was when this was printed. So again, I'm not saying I'm against it, but I would like to spend more time with you to find out exactly what we're trying to do, find out what Tulane's thoughts are on this, and again, the administration and how they want to move forward. And lastly, again, to speak to Mr. Henry, not at the expense of anything cultural or historical in our parish. Obviously, we can move around that or work around it if they are so inclined. I yield.
I think if there's a graveyard, it might be on the parish-owned 200 acres and not the 300 acres owned by Tulane.
Ms. McCarty, I truly believe we should table this.
Okay.
We should have a lot more conversation.
Okay.
The park, what you're talking about is a good idea, but we really need to communicate more with the members.
That's fine.
Defer it? You can defer it?
Yes, I'll defer it.
And Mr. Henry, by that time, can you check into to see the history of that property? We'll move to item M, please.
An ordinance to amend the 2023 operate and expenditure budget, various funds, various departments, various line items, and otherwise to provide with respect to councilmember jurisdiction. This has changes.
In the preamble and on line 15, I'm sorry, just in the preamble, we're moving 30,000 and making it 270,000. However, on line 15, they are now appropriating 355,000.
M or L? M.
On M. Line 15, we're removing $115,000 and making it $355,000. And that's the changes.
You have to change on line 30.
Oh, I'm sorry. Line 30, we are removing $30,000 and adding 270,000.
I offer with changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Juritage, offered by with changes. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Konovich.
Mr. DeMarco, you want to elaborate on this?
Yes. So the 25,000 for the health department, as you all know, we've been doing a lot of code enforcement, grass cutting, because we're getting it from you guys, and we burned through the budget. We're sitting on about 12 properties in Citrus City that needs to be cut, and that's the estimate. The quote back in March was about 8,500. That's probably going to go up if the grass is still alive with no rain. But we're constantly getting the request to.
Weeds don't die. Weeds.
What's that?
Weeds don't die.
You're right. But that's just to supplement the code enforcement grass cutting budget. We're trying to get to all of the complaints and all of the requests. The 60,000 for the boat harbors is, there was a spill back in January in the Empire Harbor for about 50,000 that the parish is required to pay for, and then the Coast Guard tries to recoup the money, but that ate up the boat harbor's budget, so we're just trying to supplement that to get us through the end of the year. 30,000 of the 270,000 is a similar situation. The December invoice from SPCA just, I guess, fell through the cracks and wasn't paid until around April. So we're going to come up with about almost $31,000 shortfall in this year's budget because it was too late to get that $30,000 on last year's budget. The 240 remaining is a shortfall in the SPCA budget. And I have some representatives from the SPCA here to answer any questions. I know we sat with a couple of you guys yesterday, and I hope they answered your guys' questions. But we can have them come up and answer any other questions.
Come on down.
Here's what
Good evening.
But just state your name and your address.
So, my name is Jessie Ayers. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at the Louisiana SPCA.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, I guess I'll take it over while he's over there. Does anybody have any questions? Or I guess Councilmember Newsom, you're up.
Oh, shoot. My mic's on. Okay.
Yeah, all the mics are on. It's fine.
So,
Go ahead.
with the some talking after we had the phone conversation with you guys, and again, thank you for that. Accepting animals at your facility there on Abel Boulevard, do you accept animals from all parishes or just Plaquemines Parish?
Just Plaquemines Parish, sir. So if we get, and this often happens because we're neighbors with Jefferson Parish, we'll find out if that's a stray from Jefferson Parish, it needs to go to Jefferson Parish, not just to keep the record straight, but also because you put a stray in the wrong parish, it's gonna be a lot harder for that owner.
How's that system verified? Do you somebody comes in?
I mean, there's no like stamp from when they found the stray.
No.
But
Do they?
They tell us I found this dog over here and it's Jefferson Parish or Orleans Parish. Likewise, it's a conversation.
So they don't have an ID.
Right. Like, I mean, it's where they found the dog, not necessarily where they live.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I'm just
Because you want to get the dog back to the parish where it was found so that it is more likely to be returned to its owner.
correct, and we don't want to be housing animals for.
You want them home.
We want them home, and we don't want to be housing animals for all parishes,
Sure.
paying to feed them, taking care of them. Vet bills are very expensive, and as well as we can see by this increase. So that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Mr. Edwards?
Yeah, I'm really confused how this stuff is written up because I'm trying to understand the relationship between Boat Harbor, what Boat Harbor have to do with the SPCA. And that's where I'm confused at. What's the connection between the Boat Harbor? Seems like there should be some separate resolution here because I'm confused. Seems like we got Boat Harbor and SPA and the same thing to me.
So Mr. You want to handle it? Go ahead.
Yes.
That's two separate budgets. The boat harbors have nothing to do with the SPCA. It's just the way the legislation is written up. We need to make adjustments to these budgets.
We're doing one big ordinance for
Yeah.
budget adjustment purposes and all these different funds. LSPCA is dealing with their shortage while the boat harbors had the oil spill. So it's just one big adjustment, but going to different funds.
So how much are we?
The 270,000 is just dealing with the public health fund, which with the animal control.
Okay.
So just the 270. The rest is going to the different.
Okay. Well, I have serious problem with us investing that kind of money, into. I don't know how we got into the animal control business in the beginning, because we got a lot of problems in the parish. This to me is $200,000. Seemed like to me that this organization should have been involved with a lot of fundraising to self-sustaining themselves, whether we sustaining the SPC. So it seems like, we're going to sustain them. That shouldn't be. They should have some way with active people to fund them. I'm totally against $270,000 because that's something that should be self-sustaining, where they should be coming up with their own funding for that type of program. Because I didn't get the clear answer with Mr. Frayne asked the question. Somehow I can get an animal and say it was from Plaquemines, but I could have got it out of Jefferson anywhere. So I'm just totally really against it. But I'm for the harbor stuff, but I'm personally against giving $270,000 to animal control. I think we got other business. We got a lot of other issues that we can use the $270,000 to. I think we should support this group in their fundraising activity promote, but to give that kind of money, I'm totally against it.
So I didn't introduce myself before. I apologize. I'm Amelie Leperton. I'm the development director. I lead our fundraising, and we have secured many grants to help replace when we inherited the equipment at the building, we replaced pretty much everything in there, and that was largely through, I mean, almost entirely through different grants raised, local, from national organizations, from local donors. Obviously, we put a lot of effort into that. Fully respect that there are obviously a lot of budget priorities for the parish, and not trying to diminish that, but I do want you to know there's a lot of fundraising efforts there. But if there's any offers to help us fundraise, I will give you my card and I will be glad for the help.
You done? You done?
Yes. You finished, Reverend Evans? Mr. Schultz.
So yes, I agree with you, Mr. George. Originally, I was very concerned. Thank y'all for taking my call yesterday. From a finance standpoint, I had a lot of questions. I believe legally we're required to have animal control. That's one of the requirements by the state constitution. So that goes to that, correct, Rennie? I know this conversation has been had in the past. I know we don't have to provide EMS, but we have to provide animal control. So it's required by the state.
You know, I've heard that before. I'll be honest with you. I haven't laid my eyes on legislation
at the police jury convention 2 years ago. They had that. The lawyer said that we have to have animal control.
Well,
animal control.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, look, whether you cannot have wild animals roaming this parish, and you have to have a program. You have to pick them up. I mean, the parish president got bit while he was campaigning. So whether or not it's required by the state or not required by the state, it is a health hazard, and it is something that we do and we should continue to do. So once we started this process with PAWS, with this no-kill shelter, I think everybody loves that. Everybody thinks that's a great thing, and it's just expensive. And we had it through PAWS. We tried to do it in-house. You know, it's hard to get professional people. LASPC is very professional. You know, they get the job done. They also help us during hurricane season when we got to get all these animals out, and when we have people who are trying to save their animals and stuff. So it is expensive, but it is a public health, I believe, a public health necessity. And if we just drop this program altogether, I think your constituents would be complaining real quick. And secondly, it's up to y'all whether y'all want to have a kill or no kill shelter. But I think you're going to find the public isn't going to be happy.
So
if we reverse.
So that was the legality. Again, I had serious concerns, but y'all talked to me yesterday, and I'd rather not a no-kill shelter. Both my animals came from one from LSPCA. I think the other one did too, just from Bossier City. So, but when it comes next budget, I would like to sit down with you, Jeff, and y'all, and see where we can help from a parish standpoint to possibly save some money instead of y'all doing all the services. Can we take over some stuff or make improvements on the building, maintenance, whatever? So
we do have the building. Just so you know, the building was in litigation for a long time. We currently have an architect, engineer who's currently designing to fix the building. So that is in the works. So I just want to let you know.
So like I said, when it comes budget time in 2-3 months, if we can sit down, I know you mentioned that last year y'all tried, but it didn't happen. But Jeff, when it comes that time, if you can set up a meeting with a couple of us and see what we can do. I yield.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, and go back to what you're saying, Rennie. I just think that that's why we have animal control, to deal with animals out. And I know I didn't get bit when I was campaigning because I watch out for dogs. I'm sorry, the poor president didn't understand you just can't run in people's yard. So again, I'm not saying that we should have dogs running wild, but I thought we had animal control. To me, this is a lot of money. I just think that there might be some people in this parish, in other places, they have businesses to take care of dogs, encourage somebody to do it. But I think with all the problems we got, putting money to animal control, I'm for doing that. But to the building, I don't know how we got into get that building. I don't know how we got into that building. But I just think we could do better. $270,000, that's a lot of money.
Mr. Newsom.
Yeah, well, Mr. Schultz said it. When is your contract? Is it yearly?
Yes.
Calendar year.
Calendar year, January 1 and December 31st? Okay, thank you.
Ms. McCarty.
I reiterate with what Mr. Vera said about it being a health situation that we need to be able to control the population. But we're also charged as Christians by God to take care of animals. So in addition to that, I know that we inherited that building, the building has a lot of structural problems that we need to take care of. Is that correct?
They're being taken care of. It's the
Okay.
We won the lawsuit, so now we're
Okay,
bringing
good.
the contractors in and taking care of the problems at hand.
Okay.
Cosmetic, not structural.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
They're entering a building that is structurally unsound. It's structurally sound, like, it's
You said
structurally
it's more-
sound. It's just cosmetic. It's the exterior, and there are some cracks on the inside,
Okay.
but it's not structural. So I don't want anybody to think, the building's gonna collapse.
So that's a positive for the financial costs. I don't know how PAWS, whether or not it succeeded when it was running the operation. I do know, however, that we must be saving money because we have an organization that's a professional organization they can share the cost over parishes for administration, and it must be lowering the cost versus us doing it on our own. Someone had suggested that maybe we should run the operation of animal care on our own. I don't think that would be very cost effective. I yield.
So I had, excuse me.
Go ahead.
We had Raymond, the health department director, manager, do an assessment, do his own assessment.
Oh, we lost you.
John Helmers, turn your mic off.
Let me start over. We had Raymond do an assessment, an in-house assessment on basically what it would cost us to do in-house animal control, and his numbers for just basic service kill shelter came in about what we would probably negotiate with SPCA. Without the added services that SPCA provides and their resources. So I think the SPCA is probably the best option for us, rather than trying to hire the skilled employees needed to run an animal shelter.
I did want to add one thing on the note of kill or no kill shelter. Over the last 10 years or so, animal welfare has tried to start moving away from that distinction. It's kind of very divisive and not very helpful. For a no kill shelter, you have a 90% live release rate, and we ended last year about 85. It was a little less than we were the year before because there's been so much pressure on shelters. You've been hearing it in the news. Everyone's really, really full and at capacity. So if you know anyone who wants to adopt, we have animals. But I just want to make that distinction that you are with an organization that guarantees the best possible outcomes for the animals in your community. We intentionally don't use the language of no kill, but that doesn't mean that we are a kill shelter by any means. Our animals have transport, foster, breed rescue, all kinds of other outlets, and including the adoptions that we do. So I just wanted to share that as far as, we hope that you think we're worth investing in.
Any more comments from the table? Dr. Gouy.
Just one, we've had our own animal control, and it wasn't working. So we were very lucky to get PAWS to come in. They did a great job. It wasn't working. The no kill became a big point of contention that we had to deal with. We brought in the SPCA. If you can find a better way to do it for what we're mandated to do, I'd like to see it. But the way we are today, we've been through, if we want to reinvent the wheel, we can, but we've been through all of that. And this is the way to go. Unfortunate that it costs money. So, anybody wants to propose a kill shelter, good luck with that. And I'd wear Kevlar when you came to the meetings, because I can tell you that audience will be throwing more than tomatoes at you. So I'd like to move to the vote. If there's no objection, I'd like to call question.
Still have Reverend Edwards. Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, again, I'm gonna go to vote for this after hearing, what, Jeff said about we can't beat the cause. And my other reason to vote, because I have to campaign again, and I don't want all of the voters to remember me when I come to the door, they're gonna sick their dog on me. So you have my vote.
All right, machines are open.
You know,
And the measure passes 9-0.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you all for being here. Oh, the last page.
Oh, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, repair Tidewater Road project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotrovich.
I'll offer.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Jurchich. Mr. Konovich, you want to say anything?
As read.
As read. Any comment from the audience?
Lyndon Miller from Phoenix Platinum Spare Devent. So we have the marina down here and Pond Ash that isn't being taken care of.
You know, that's coming up next.
Oh, that's next?
Yeah, we're not on that now. This is on Tidewater Road.
Any more comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0.
10, approval of the minutes from the August 10th, 2023 regular meeting.
I so offer to ask for a second. Seconded by Mr. Schultz. Any comments? Machines are open. And the measure passes 9-0.
11, new business. 11A, introduction of resolutions wherein suspension is being sought.
I have one. You have it?
A resolution calling a special election to fill the vacancy in the office of Constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 5, Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I need a motion to add it to the agenda.
I think Mr. Garrett trying to get your attention.
He's got it. I'm just making sure.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Jurtich. Yeah. Well, I mean, he
That's close enough. We look at
any comments? Machines are open
On the suspension.
for the suspension. No, that's the motion to add it to the agenda. And the measure passes 9-0.
A resolution calling a special election to fill the vacancy in the office of Constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 5, Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Jurtich.
And this is for suspension.
Yes. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0.
A resolution calling a special election to fill the vacancy in the office of Constable for Justice of the Peace, Ward 5, Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Jurtich. Any comments?
I'll let Mr. Garrett explain it if he wants to.
Yeah, it's,
Sure.
the constable seat that was elected in 20 became vacant in 22. Y'all appointed somebody in the interim. You set the election for this fall, but then nobody went and qualified to run in the special election. So the appointee will stay in, and y'all are setting another election for next fall. So it'll be a cheap election because it's presidential.
Any comment from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0.
B, District Non-Update, Councilmember Kotnovich.
Defer. Withdraw.
C, District 8 Update, Councilmember Jurasich. Grant status for funding the new water plant and update on ongoing talks about the RV moratorium.
All right, I'm gonna skip the grant status for right now and withdraw that one. But just to give a quick update for anybody who's watching, we have been meeting vigorously on this moratorium issue that we, on the RV parks. And we've, we're trying to come up with some solutions, and we're working on that. I just wanted to let the general public know that we did not stop since we passed this resolution. So we want to just let them know that we are moving and we're working on it. We'll be coming out to the community for some input. That's all I have.
Next item.
D, District 7 update, Councilmember LaFrance.
Yes, I would like to discuss the Port Sulphur 20-inch water line relocation. We have Kyle Associates here. Could you please come to the mic, please? I don't know if any of the council members are aware of it, but we have a 20-inch line on the back levee in Port Sulphur, the bayou side. And part of that 20-inch line runs in the levee. And there has been drawing to relocate that pipe from the back levee to the front, to the river road on the front. We had there's problem with that water line. We had put a saddle clamp on it a couple of years ago. If you're familiar with a saddle clamp, it has on a 20-inch line, imagine about 12 bolts that you have to tighten down to stop a leak. Many plants got away from those clamps because when you tighten down on them, they collapse. So I just wanted to give you a little heads up about it. I'll yield to you, Kyle's an associate. Please give me your name and your address.
Sure. Chris Nadishin, Kyle Associates, 638 Village Lane North in Mandeville. So, yeah, sometime back, I believe it was in 2019, we completed a design that has been shelved so far, awaiting funding to move that line, that 20-inch line, from, as the councilman stated, from inside the levee to the river road. It's in deplorable, the line in the levee apparently is in deplorable conditions. They've had several breaks, along with the one that Councilman LaFrance had mentioned, as well as some of the crossings over the drainage area. Some of the crossings are in bad shape. We have 8-inch lines coming off of it, and it's in really bad shape. So we had designed it to be moved over to the river road. Additionally, it is a dual feed area, so there is a 12 and an 8, I believe, going through right through the middle of Highway 23 or through the neutral ground part of Highway 23 there. And I know Infomark has had to Band-Aid that on several occasions and had some busts within that portion of the line as well.
I think it's a 6-inch line.
It may be a 6, yes, sir, I'm sorry. So they have had some busts in that area as well. I know they've had to try and do some chemical injections at that point as well. So, yeah, the project has been designed. It's roughly about 3 miles. It's from the split, going all the way to Civic Drive. And all of the 8-inch connections that service the neighborhoods through the area will come off of that new 20-inch line.
Yes, and I just want, even though we are open up Point Lahash or from the booster station, pushing the water down south, if that line isn't fixed, that'll stop all the water going from Port Sulphur south.
That is correct. That is a critical point there. That if if we have any more breaks or we lose disruption in that 20-inch line that's in the back levee, it will. The water going south the pressure and the water going south will suffer.
So we do have some funding, but we don't have all the funding. We are short.
We are.
Yes. So couldn't we get the administration to try to find the money so
we're working on that right now.
Okay.
This is all in the conversation with this whole, we're not just talking about, the water plant, say, the West Point Lahash, or, what we're kind of referring to as a Naomi water plant here in the near future, what we're talking about. But we're talking about the whole system from Jefferson Parish all the way to Boothville, Venice area right there. And what we're talking about, too, talking with Ken Dugai and Jonah, is having a dual feed all the way down, like Chris just mentioned right there. So this is all it's in the conversation. These are the plans. There's also a road project, the widening of 23, and those are some of the challenges that you know, if we can find the funding for the road, the widening, there's that line up underneath there. So there's a decision to be made there if they're going to move that line, and there's a lot of moving parts that are going on right now with this water line that goes through Port Sulphur. And one of the scary things is we do have to be aware is like when we start pushing the water from these booster plants, I know Mr. Morgan and them, they have to be very careful about how much pressure they put on these lines, because if they put too much, that will cause us problems, right?
Right.
So it's a big balancing act. But to answer your question, yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, to concur with, I'm sorry, to concur with what President Hinckley said as well. I know his administration and his engineering department had asked us for an updated opinion of probable construction cost back in May, because I believe they were applying for some grants, if I'm not mistaken, because obviously this line was designed before COVID and before a lot of prices went up. So we did, the administration did want to get a more up-to-date cost of that project.
Right, and we, like I said earlier in the president's report with the Dennis Lambert, we do have a meeting set up with him. Also, I talked with David Vitter yesterday and just conveyed to him that, you know, we're in need of some funding for it as well. We're all doing a fly-in here next month. He goes, maybe we can kind of slip away and kind of, you know, we don't want to fog up the reason why we're going up to D.C. here in the near future, but at least we can try to set up a couple of meetings, you know, dealing with water as well.
Mm-hmm. I just want everybody to know it's a very critical point. And earlier this evening, I deferred some of these RV parks for expanding, because we have to provide the water for our citizens that we have now. So that is one of the top reason why I deferred those items.
And what we have to realize also is that these water lines are in the Port Sulphur community, but it affects Mr. Konovich and Mr. Jurisich's
absolutely
as well.
Port Sulphur South.
Without Port Sulphur, we won't be able to push the water all the way down.
That is correct. So it's a critical point. I just want the council members to know that. I spoke to the directors about the potholes, and Ms. Taylor talked about the raise, and I spoke to Mr. Wishers about Diamond Park and Ironton Park. So we'll move to item E, please.
District 1 update, Councilmember Edwards, Point La Hache Marina and East Bank Fire Protection.
Yeah, let's talk to Point La Hache Marina. I'd have Mr. Miller to come up now. And I'm glad Mr. Hammer is here.
I was going to say,
Yeah, no, I'm glad he's here. So it's a perfect day, man. You got the expert here today.
How y'all doing? London Miller. I'm tired. The marina down in Point La Hache is horrible. It's not being kept up. The maintenance is horrible. They have someone down there. The guy doesn't do any work. He doesn't cut the grass. We can't get into our stalls with the grass. The stalls are not, the boards on the stalls are missing. They're not being replaced. We pay monthly for the stalls, and we can't get onto our stalls. We barely can get onto our boats. They have people that's parking, and they park their boats and leave their crab traps on the loading dock. Y'all call it the conveyor ramp, work ramp. We can't offload our shrimp because they leave their boats there, which they're not supposed to do. They leave their trucks there, which they're not supposed to do. So we need some help, some kind of way where we can get access to our stalls, where we can get access to the grass being cut, where we can have access to working on our shrimp boats, anything like that. It is horrible over there. And I don't think anybody comes over there to look at it.
I was there this afternoon. I have a slip over there myself.
You do?
I haven't been able to use it since Ida. But anyway, I I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm going to let Mr. Helmers give you an update on as to what we're going to be doing here in the near future. But go ahead, John.
Okay, as far as the IDA repairs, everything is in place. The funding's been put in. Everything's going into motion. That'll repair your docks. That'll get all that stuff cleaned up. It'll fix the buildings. And then we'll have the dredging will take place. The permits should be, we're still waiting on one more permit from the Corps. Then we will dredge the whole area, and the dredge spoil will be put out to the southern side to stop the flow from coming in. So that'll improve the parking areas and you're in the back of
Yes.
the dock?
Yes.
Okay, so all those docks and all that repair will be done with lighting and everything else. That's all the IDA repair. It's all, it's already been estimated. It's just got to go out for bid for the job. The funding's there. So you should see some difference in the next 90 days. That'll improve that.
Okay, and what about the regular upkeep? What about the grass being cut?
That's been a challenge. We're talking about manpower and pay. And I see one of the items is a pay raise. Hopefully that'll make it a little more attractive to garner a little bit more interest in hiring more help.
Okay, and what about the work ramp, the loading ramp? How can we get those people to move their boats and their crab traps off of there so we can actually use that?
Yes, we make constant requests. There is an ordinance in place. We just need to enforce the code a little better.
Is there a worker back there? Is there a worker at that harbor?
That's what I want to address right now. We have a worker there, and that worker, when those guys go out and he sees something there, he should be able to put a sticker or something to make sure they don't do that, and that is not happening.
What type of worker?
We have somebody supposed to be back there.
A harbor master. Our worker. I'm sorry. I thought you meant like a work boat.
No. There's a person back there, but they're not enforcing it. There's no way they should go out and come back in and somebody blocking their stuff if the person we got there doing what they're supposed to. Now, I don't know the person's job description because whether they're supposed to weed grass, I don't know that. Are you over that person?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So maybe you might want to really talk to him about sticking, because I think they're supposed to put a stick or something on, how that work, what the stickers you was telling me?
Yeah, they have stickers. I forget the lady name that's over it.
We're familiar with that.
She does that. The guy is supposed to do it, but he doesn't do it. He doesn't do any of that. Nothing is being done by the employee that's back there.
That'll be addressed.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Miller, and I'm so happy that Mr. Hammer is here, and we're really, really going to look at it. Let me ask a question, though, about the slip. Should we be charging people, are we charging people the full price, and they can't use their stuff? I'm really wondering how fair is that? What can we do about giving people a reduced rate or something? Because to be paying something for something you're not using, to me, that's not fair. I mean, just me. Say that again? Yeah, because everybody asking me that question, you know.
Because I got a couple in Empire that the docks fell in the water and they can't park it. But they still getting a bill from us.
Yeah, same thing over here. There's 3 or 4 of us together, you know, we've been with each other for many years, but like over one of our slips, it's like daylight, so we can't use that, but we can use one over. So we've been able to utilize it, you know, to a certain extent. I mean, we've even had to get like a private electrical line, because if you go out there, you'll see all of the meters are gone. The whole it doesn't have any power to the marina, you know, to the slips. But
I got a complaint about that Sunday. The oyster fisherman hasn't been able to park in his dock since I think 2019.
Well, I pulled my boat out for Ida, and it's still sitting in my building in Belchase right now, so.
He's getting charged a slip fee and he can't dry up at it.
I'm still getting charged for a slip fee too. So.
You pick your boat up, I can't pick an oyster boat up.
Yeah, so.
Mr. Ham, this harbor maintenance fund, can any of that fund be used to help the Pearl Hedge Marina, you know, to do something with the slips? Is there any kind of way any of that money could be used?
Yes.
Or is there any more money left in it?
No, y'all just voted to replenish that at the last meeting we had down here from the port side. So that monies will help fix some of the slips, but most of the slip damage and everything right now is from the Ida, from the storm. So that's covered. It's just going through the process of getting everything put in order to get the bid out for the repair. The Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund will also help by dredging and clearing the marina to make sure the depths are correct and helping with the land and the levee to keep the flooding from coming in. But the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund, to address Councilman Konovich, the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund has been, some of the laws have been changed in it now. So those slips that have fell into the water, we will be addressing those during the Ida repair at the same time of picking those up and repairing all those at the same time that we dredge that whole entire Empire complex.
Thank you. The last thing on, for District 1, we had a meeting last night with the Superintendent Busher. There was a fire on August 6th in Phoenix of a board, but the community still left without poor fire protection. One of the things that Mr. Bush said on last night, and Clarence Broxley, you see here, he's the fire chief. There is a small truck that used to be housed in a small station there in Phoenix, only for a small truck. We need to get it back, but the problem need to be manned. We know we can't do it for 40 hours, but we have to look if we can get it part-time. Because all of you all know that if a building receives over 51% damage, you have to go 18 feet. So by having this small truck, Mr. Bros can get in and other people get in and get to the fire, hopefully until the other part come. We also have to do some serious recruiting of volunteer fire department. But one of the main things is there's a trailer. And the question is whether the trailer belongs to the parish or to the fire. So this, my understanding, the parish got it and donated. He said, put me in another mess. You ought to see your face, Mr. President, when I said about the parish on it. But anyway, so the building is there. So they're saying it could be used for housing the firemen and the ambulance people. But nobody seemed to be able to get into the building. I think, Jeff, we talked about it. Did you was able to get in this morning?
I was not on my way here. I had more pressing issues of an air conditioner not working, so I didn't get a chance to check it out. I will get down there with engineer and assess the usability of the building, and we'll see what we can do with it.
But I'm going to be meeting with Mr. Busher and Mr. Brock. But I'm saying I'm really going to come to council. We have a serious emergency. We have a rating of 10, and then it went to 5. But that 5 stopped at Phoenix because we don't have anything else. Now, this small truck not going to solve all the problems, but at least it'll be temporarily where they can get there. So I don't know how much we're going to need, but we need to do something just to prevent something. We got a building up at Brookway, and we got to work on getting that in. But fire is a really serious issue. It happened to be a business, so the owner house wasn't on it. But if that would have been a resident house who have low income, which is that area of a large low-income people, they would be homeless because they couldn't afford to build out. So I'm hoping that when I come back, that council really seriously help us solve the problem, in Phoenix around fire protection. And again, I want to commend Mr. Bush yesterday because it take a lot to come in the community that's angry over the situation. He came in on last night and did a really marvelous job in terms of his presentation and heard the people. And so I was really glad that he came out.
Finished, Reverend Edwards?
My stuff on District 1.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Conover, seconded by Mr. Georges. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 9-0. We'll have adjournment at 6:53.